this time. Why is my external webcam not working? It's plugged in. Oh well. All right. What's up, people? It has been a while since I've done this. Quite a while. Let's get all this stuff laid out. Whoa. How do you even know that I'm doing this? Oh, does Twitch notify you? Because I was like, I haven't even tweeted this out yet. Also, I'm trying to see if my audio is working. How do you even know that I'm doing this? Oh, does that's the wrong. I haven't even. It's the wrong microphone. I haven't tweeted this out yet. Also, I'm trying to see if my audio is working. How do you know that I'm doing this? Oh, all right, switch microphone. Let's see if this is any better. Cool. So historically, this microphone has sometimes have a little bit of a crackle. So let me know if that's happening. Apparently, I'm Justin Fan. All right, one more sec. All right, here we go. So let's do the tweet. I have an idea for a fun app to build. This is going to be too long of a tweet. Okay. Got idea for fun app to build for folks watching the Laracon US live stream. Got an idea for fun app to build for folks watching the Laracon US. Gonna build it on Twitch, Laracon. Sweet. There we go. So the idea I had here was there's a lot of people who are sitting and watching the Laracon US live stream, like me, and just kind of sitting around and interacting with each other on Twitter. And I thought, in between, I'm going to be wanting to do something. Why don't I do something fun? So I'm probably not going to Twitch all day because I'm going to be watching the stream, and it'd be weird to be watching the stream and twitching. But I figured for the next 50 minutes at least until Adam starts, I can get the thing started. So the idea of what I was thinking about was something that allows people to basically point to a specific moment in time during a broadcast, like a live stream, and like put up something. The first and simplest one would be a quote. Like the sound's cracking again. Y'all are killing me with this sound. If anybody else has that same sound problem, I'll switch mics. Let me know. It's just the other mic is super echoey. Fricky frick. Every time on this mic. Okay, I'm going to switch to my webcasting mic. Let me know if that fixes. Can y'all hear me on this mic today? Coding while using this podcasting mic is going to be a very interesting experience, but we'll see how it works. Okay, so the general idea here is to build a tool that allows somebody to submit a particular thing having happened at a particular time during a live stream. And so kind of the idea I was having here was often when people are tweeting, they're gonna share like a quote or something like that happened at a certain time on Twitter, and it's really cool, but then it kind of like disappears after that, right? Like it gets really popular, it gets retweeted, and then nobody hears about it after that. And so it's like, well, what if you could share, if we basically show like a live stream that eventually is probably like broken up by like, you know, talks, but eventually, right, the first thing would just be one long timeline with, you know, little interesting things, and eventually people could like vote them up or down. So like it would get like bigger in the display or smaller in the display depending on how much other people were like, yeah, that's a really great one or not a really great one. It'd be also interesting if later you could like upload a picture, upload a GIF, or maybe even link to a tweet so that there could be, because of course, like it's cool to share like a quote in a tweet like this, but in reality, people still want to put them out on Twitter to be shared with all their friends. So it'd be nice to have some kind of sync between the two. So I think that the question is, what's the simplest and fastest possible thing to build in? So I think my gut says Twitter login, Twitter OAuth login, usually Socialite, some kind of top to bottom stream. Because I think that's going to be the easiest way to build it, where like as time progresses, just new things get added. I think up front, it would not be valuable to have it really able to present like 1 hour is always consistently the same number of pixels, but rather just event, 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 event. And if enough time happens between events, event meaning like somebody puts up a quote, then it just adds some space or something like that. So I think the first thing would really just be like an unordered list, like top to bottom from earliest to latest quote, with Twitter OAuth login and the ability for somebody to actually create a quote. And like that's it, simplest thing there. So the interesting thing is, how far can we make it in that in 45 minutes? Because I want to see Adam's talk, and I'm not going to be blabbing at y'all when Adam does his talk. And his talk starts at 9 a.m. Eastern. So, oh my gosh, I can't win here. I don't know what to do. Let me know if the rest of y'all are having a problem with it. So CD sites, Lambo. Okay, good enough. Is it sound like it's clipping? Like it's too loud? Let's see. I gotta come up with a name for this. No, names take all your time. Live stream timeline. This is ridiculous. I don't understand how it's impossible to do any audio with Twitch without it crackling in some way. You can't buy the live stream anymore. It's the statics. See, that's the thing. It's always the statics. Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do about that. So if anybody's like a Twitch pro, let me know. Like, I'm on a really nice mic. I was on a really cheap mic before. Like, I don't know what to do to make it go away. So, sorry, everybody. One day we'll figure this out. So if you never used Lambo before, we'll just use Lambo to create a site really fast. GitHub.com/TitanShow/Lambo. So we've got this. Yeah, it's not a bad cable. So yeah, it must be some, I don't know what it is. I'm frustrated. All right, I just made one small change to the audio. Let me know if it changes it for you. So we're going to pull up live stream timeline. So we need a couple things. We need Socialite. We need the ability to have something that is going to be displayed out in the homepage. So let's, real quick, there's an echo. Awesome. I hate all this stuff. I hate it. Okay, so let's just stick with, oh, you know what? I want Laravel 5.3. Oh, great. Everything sounds good now. Happy day. Lurking is just fine. I won't touch anything, I promise. Lambo goes a lot slower when you go for the develop branch because it has to use Composer instead of the Laravel installer. And Composer's create project tool is not as optimized. Doodly doodly doo. There we go. All right, so let's bring up MagFam, which apparently didn't open correctly. All right, so the simplest possible thing we can do is make a model called, glad you like it, Lee. What are we going to call this model? Let's just call it a post, because again, I don't want to worry about naming things because we only have 42 minutes. So how far can we get it in 42 minutes? All right, so we have our post model. If those of you who've been live streaming with me for a long time, you'll notice that I'm trying Vim again. So excuse the clumsiness. All right, so a post will have a body. Simplest possible thing. Again, we won't worry about more complex systems later. Right now, any individual can create a post. Non-level program question. What sex baby? It's a girl. We're very, very excited about the girl. Happy to bridge the time to Laracon. The 41 minutes we're now waiting. I should have a giant countdown at the top of the screen. And we got a boy, and we're about to have a girl. And I may get a phone call in the middle of this saying, babe, come home right now. So I'm just waiting. That's why I'm not at Laracon right now, is because the baby's due. So the baby's due Friday, but our last kid came 5 days early. So there's no way for me to go anywhere right now. I'm not even getting a haircut because I'm like, what if she calls while I'm sitting in the barber chair? So, yeah. Okay. So what we basically want to do is like get, app post and that's kind of it. Sweet, hope all goes well. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'll update as soon as I have time. So this is basically going to grab your body input thing. It's going to return it back as JSON. So assuming we've got, let's just do a route get posts create. And then resources views, oops. Resources views posts. And then edit resources views posts create. And we're going to read in resources views welcome and just do this kind of jankiness for now. I really just want to get like the simplest possible thing. So like create post, and then we've got a form. And then what do we want? We basically want input name equals body, input type equals submit. I need to get Emmet working in Vim so I can do all this HTML creation faster. Is this Laravel? This is Laravel 5.3. Yep, this is the latest as of, you know, 5 minutes ago. All right, so that's that. So we've got a main view. So let's look at the welcome view. What do we want there? We basically want a listing of all the posts in order. And creating separate route files. Yeah, it's a really nice delineation the way he set it up there. All right, so routes file. So what this one wants is it wants to get all the posts. And then we want to get we're literally just doing unordered list right now. And then okay, cool. So simplest possible thing we can do. So in theory, and I guess we'll need like a okay, so you're on your main page, you're seeing all the posts, you hit the create new post, takes you to the create post page, shows the create post view, you post to those posts, it creates a new post from here, and then it redirects you back to the home page where hopefully you see the updated post. All right, so let's see what errors we see. Of course, we don't have the database, so we also don't have I meant to, when you create a model, it's helpful to create a migration with it, and I forgot. So make migration, create posts table. Create post table, refresh. All right. Okay, cool. Post table exists, and it says unknown database live stream timeline. So let's create that database in our local live stream timeline. And then we want to migrate. Getting tweets from people who are falling in love with Cinergo's coffee. And I'm, on the one hand, very happy for all of y'all, and on the other hand, I'm drinking my own homemade coffee alone in an office. It's that live stream life. All right, so I think we might be ready. Let's see what we got here. All right, posts. There's our empty list of posts. I bet you there's going to be an empty UL underneath it. There we go. Wait, where's my create post button? I probably didn't save. All right, create new post button. Let's go to our create new post form. Check it out. I lift lots of weights. So of course it'd be nice if we could track the author individually and all that kind of stuff. But all right, method not allowed exception. Oh, right, because it's posting to itself, whereas it should be posting to posts. Look at that. Way to go, autocomplete. There we go. I lift lots of weights. Adam Wathen. I just made the simplest possible app ever. So there's a couple things we can do here. One of them is we can create the Twitter socialite authentication. Another thing is we can add add the ability for the author to be differentiated. Another one is we can create a view that actually kind of shows things the way that we want. So I'm trying to think about what's the best use of 34 minutes. I think I'm going to go for. Oh, we also need to be able to vote things up now. I'm going to go for. I'm worried that we're going to go into like just crazy. Holy crap. Y'all noticed nothing changed, right? Like not a single thing changed in my setup. I didn't unplug something or replug something else. All right, I just switched to and from. Let me know if that helped. I think I'm going to do socialites. Let's do our first commit. Did it just say 2? How did I create something named 2? All right. Yeah, exactly. What I did was I changed the audio from this mic to something else in the back. Okay, y'all can see that I have this new app called Rocket that gives you Slack style emoji completion everywhere, but it's very obnoxious in contexts like that. So let's add I term to Blue Sheep. That is not normal. All those links got mailed out this morning. So you should have an account with streamacon.com. Should look like this. And so you should have gotten an email that says, here, you got an email from, you have a live stream ticket to StreamAcon. So I would probably message Taylor or something. All right. Okay, so let's do the socialite piece of it. So what's the fastest possible way to integrate socialite? Trying to think if my best option would be to copy it from one of my other apps, because we just recently did Twitter socialite integration in Confomo, and I feel like copying it may be faster than doing it all from scratch. So, all right. So first thing we need is all the Twitter stuff. Interestingly, I don't know which one of these we do and don't need because Confomo is actually using two different Twitter libraries. So we can check that out in a sec. And then let's see what version we had. Acquire, Laravel, socialite. Interestingly, we were using, I wonder why we were using that. That makes me a little nervous. Too late to purchase one. Yeah, the tickets were only open at certain points. You know, I didn't realize is I have not checked socialite in 5.3 yet. So that may not be a good use of our time, actually, because that could totally go down crazy rabbit holes. We don't have much time. So let's save that for if I have more time later. Okay. So do we create... I have a lot of questions here about what the next steps are. I think upvoting and downvoting and separating the author out are probably going to be interesting pieces of it. So let's do that. Someone says, you should try live coding instead of Twitch. I'm not going to try live coding. I can tell you all why. In Confomo, the user ID is stored on the window.confomo on the client side. Can you explain if this is a common way, if it's safe when you have time? Zergon, I would, if you bought a live stream ticket and have not gotten it yet, it's possible that the people who bought their live stream tickets yesterday got them emailed out later than those of us who bought them a while ago. Luckriz, the reason... So I stored the user ID on window.confomo on the client side. What Luckriz means there's basically the Vue.js for Confomo needs access to certain variables that it should be getting from Laracon in certain contexts. And so that's sometimes the current event ID for the page we're working on, but there's also always the user ID. And so the question is, well, is that safe? If it's being accessed from a client-side template, couldn't some nefarious hacker just change their user ID and then use the app with that different user ID? And so it's not safe if that's your safety level. If you rely on anything that happens in the front end to be your kind of safety, then you're screwed because they can just change it. However, if it's a convenience to get that information of you, but then
your actual Laravel API validates that this is the actual user, then you're fine. So for example, let's say someone were to change the confomo user ID to be 15, then all of a sudden they're able to re-trigger Vue.js, like getting a list of all events or talks for that user. And so then it'll go to /API/talks and expect, or even it could be like /API/user/15/talks, right? So like, I'm nefarious and I did that. But the thing is, they could have just hit that same route themselves. In the end, they hit that route, they don't have permissions to that route, and it gives a 404 or whatever other error we actually programmed it. So in general, that's fine. It's a perfectly acceptable way to do it as long as your app itself is actually secure. All right, so let's go back to MacVim. So we're going to go to the post. We're going to add an author, and we got to note that the author's different. So normally author would indicate that we're talking about the person who wrote the post. But interestingly, we're not actually talking about the person who wrote the post. We're talking about the original creator. So maybe let's call it creator, and hopefully that'll be a little bit of distinction. So again, creator's just going to be a string for now. So y'all might be like, oh my gosh, why are you making some of these decisions when you know you're going to change them? Well, this isn't live. Nobody can see this. So it's perfectly acceptable for me to just do whatever the heck I want to do because nothing's getting in the way of me just changing these things while we are actively working on it, which is what I'm doing. So I just added a creator. And then we've got to have this idea of votes. And so when you have things with votes, you can always consider putting the votes on the table itself. But as I'm sure you're aware, that could end up being a bit of a pain. So one thing you could have is have votes be like a counted relationship. Another thing you can do is have votes be a separate table, but be cached on here. And have some kind of method where either every single time somebody does a vote, it triggers like a refresh of their vote count, or there's some cron that runs once a minute or whatever. So it's, you know, if you're let's say you got 10,000 people using your app at once, you wouldn't want this individual post to be updated every single time somebody clicked an up or down button. So right now we can store it on here, but we know that that's not going to be the actual kind of final way to do it. So table integer votes, and then default 0, I guess. Yeah. And so let's go to our posts create. So we now need to add some things. We need a label. And then creator, just a bot. Gosh darn it. It seems like there's something about the connection degrading because basically after every like 10 or 15 minutes, it starts getting staticky and then worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. So that's all I can think about is somehow Twitch or OBS or something is basically degrading my connection over time. So maybe if I switch to 720p instead of 1080p or something like that, maybe that would be the solution. I'm not sure. Again, if anybody knows about this kind of stuff, let me know. Okay, so we've got body and creator when we create a new post. It's really beautiful. This is some really, high-tech, high-quality Vue stuff going on here. All right, and then we're going to need to handle that in our routes.php or routes web PHP. So at this point, we've started doing this thing, and it starts kind of asking you, like, what if I were to create something using a request only or something like that? The problem is, actually, I'm not sure. Maybe you could do that. I was going to say the problem is you can't do it, but maybe you can. Let's just try it. Request only body creator. I feel like this is not going to work because it's not going to be keyed correctly, but I'm actually not sure. So body is going to be, I like to lift lots of weights. And then creator is going to be Adam Wethen. Yeah. Oh, well, that's just because we haven't migrated. Oh, right. Reset, I think, is what it is these days. Nope, but that's okay. Add audio problems. Is there a TLDR on that? Because I don't really want to read it right now while we're in the middle of doing this. Thanks for finding the link, though. Okay, cool. So we now have, oh, not author, creator. Can be caused from an overworked CPU. Reducing the resolution can help. Interesting. Using a USB 3.0 port can help. So that's curious because this one is running through, like, it might be different depending on which of my different microphones I use. Overworked CPU, switch to lower. I mean, we can try switch to lower res. Let's see if this breaks absolutely everything when I do this. No, I feel like this is going to break absolutely everything. I'm gonna scene buffering time. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna read through all of this later, but we only have a little bit of time, and I feel like there's the chance that if I change any of those things right now, the whole thing's just gonna fall apart. Yeah, thanks, Milos. I lift lots of weights. Adam Wathen, fantastic. Okay, cool. So now let's build a vote system. So again, we're just kind of hacking this stuff out. You have the opportunity to fix it, make it better later. But let's just do a vote up button and a vote down button. If you have watched me live stream Suggestive, this is all going to seem very familiar because it's a lot of extremely similar stuff. So, and again, up, down, we can worry about the icon later. So figure out what would you want this to be? Well, it's likely that you want this to be some kind of like hit to a patch thing that is triggered by Ajax later, right? Nice, well, glad you found it, Kushit. Right now, we're just going to do like posts, post ID, and then like vote up. Now this is not a RESTful route, so this is, again, this is temporary. This is not how we want to do it in the end because it's much better to do like a patch. Or yeah, we're just gonna do it like this. This is not gonna be our final thing. Could you switch audio again? Oh my goodness. All right, I'm gonna switch to a crappy mic and see if it ends up running into that same problem. This stream will be uploaded to YouTube, so y'all can enjoy the crackly audio over and over and over again. Please let me know if you're getting good audio from this one, and let's see if this one devolves down into crackly eventually. All right. You're wearing the same shirt. Nice. Got it at Laracon last year, huh? You can hear me. All right. Tell me if it gets correctly. All right. So where were we? Vote up and vote down. So again, this is not what I would end up doing for the final URL structure. This is not the right way to do it. But again, this is just temporary, so I don't really mind that much. All right. Post ID, not posts ID. All right, got an up, down, got a down, up button, got a down button. It's hard to see. The thing about shrinking your resolution down is because you're used to having such like massive screens, and all of a sudden you've got to fit all of your coding down to this tiny little screen. Oh, you got it from Bug Tonight. Oh, come on. Yeah, I got mine at Laracon last year because they were at Laracon. So, all right, so we're not going to end up with this, but route get posts slash post slash post up or vote up. And if you haven't before, implicit route model binding is brilliant because what we get to do is just this: app post post, and that's it. We don't have to look it up or anything like that. So you can just say like posts or post votes equals post votes plus one. And I feel like there's probably like an increment method on particular properties in Eloquent, but I can't remember. So post save. You might even just be able to do post update votes post votes plus one. Let's just try that. And then right now, again, since this is just a hack, we're just going to return a redirect back to this page. And then same thing here. And again, if you really were building it this way, you could have a single route here that like handles vote up and vote down, but we don't need to do that because this is not our final solution. We're just trying to kind of get something in there. Okay, cool. So let's just see if that works. Oh yeah, we got to actually be listing the number of votes on that page. Apparently typing welcome is difficult. Oh, this is a welcome page already. And so then you can say, like, let's put the number of votes in there. Return back works too. Yeah, I just like to be explicit. But again, we're not going to use this in the long term, so it doesn't really matter. All right, so 0. So, oh, that didn't work. All right, so let's try. Oh, because votes is not hard codable. And I don't think I need it to be because, again, we're not going to stick with this. There you go. Okay, cool. So you can vote up and down. Of course, there's all the problems there. So I think the next thing, since we built the votes thing, would be to recognize that each person should only be able to vote one time. And so to update the votes thing to now instead be, and it kind of would be actually nice if we just didn't have to worry about the concept of a downvote. We just could only handle upvotes. First of all, that's kind of consistent with a lot of the other systems that I like. There's no negativity, there's only positivity. But second of all, now it turns into a nice restful route, right? Because it's no longer votes, vote up and vote down and whatever, create a new vote. It just ends up being basically like, vote create. So the problem is once we do this, we now have to create the authentication system. That's okay. We'll just create it. Auth, is it B? I feel like that's wrong. It's like a login as by ID. Ah, man. Let me know if any of y'all remember what that one is. It's vote toggle, yeah. I don't want to make all that stuff. I literally just want to hack them into it because in the end, the auth isn't going to be through the traditional auth system. The auth would be through Socialite, which I don't want to take the time to do right now. There's a way to automatically log somebody in by their user ID, which there you go, log in using ID. What's a well-named method? That would be, would have been a safe thing for me to guess. Log in using ID 1. And then we can go here, and then we can say art tinker, and then user equals new app user, and user needs a name, user needs a password, user needs an email. Oh, nice. That's awesome. All right, and then we can do user save, and then user ID. Great, now we have that user. So that's going to be real user. All right, so we are now logged in as me, and you can just do it at the bottom, just saying, if auth check. Of course, this shouldn't even work with if not auth check, and if somebody saying my name. All right, something like you are logged in. See, I knew that there was an increment, and the thing is, it doesn't really matter. It wasn't worth double checking that it's possible because we're not going to use that in the end. But I was like, I'm pretty freaking sure that there's an increment method. I think I wrote about it in my book. So you're logged in as auth user name. Okay, cool. So let's. Great. Nice to know. Look at this, just line breaks. If Adam was reading this, he would like punch me in the face because I don't care right now because I have 13 minutes to get something somewhat usable. Um, okay, cool. Long as Matt. So let's get this vote system updated. Why don't we get it to a point where it's actually a reasonable system, so that if we can later get somebody logged in, we actually have the ability to post. Um, we have the ability to actually have the final section, the type of voting system that we actually want to have. All right. So what I'm thinking here is something like route get posts. Oh, sorry, it's just bothering me that I don't have a group. So let me that route group. No, don't waste your time. Route get posts post votes create. And then the interesting thing is there's only one of them. It's not like you can create multiple votes. And then you'd have a similar one that is basically route delete post post and then votes. But the weird thing is it's not votes, it's vote. I tend to not do this when there's just a single one, but I actually really just want to try this. So it's basically app post, and it's first or create, but I wonder if there's a way to do a first or create on like a user relationship. Basically, first or create where user ID is equal to auth user ID kind of thing. And so this is basically saying if they already have voted, don't allow them to vote, and if they haven't voted, then delete them. And then here you end up doing the same thing, which is going to be app post where user ID is auth user ID, delete. Now the interesting thing is once you have a user relationship set up, you can do things like auth user ID or auth user votes delete. I think that's going to end up doing the same thing, but again, I don't have a lot of experience with like one-to-one relationships, like one user to one vote, and the vote is for the thing, and it's an interim, and it's the vote. The vote itself is actually just like a link, and so it's interesting. So again, we're not going to worry about that right now because I know that this is going to work, and we have 11 minutes. So what we're saying here is when you go to this post vote create route, it either creates one or there already is one, and we're using first or create just to say like if there already is one, then don't worry about it, right? So this theoretically is usually something that like you assign, but we don't need to assign. The live stream begins in 10 minutes. They say on the website that it's theoretically gonna begin streaming 5 to 10 minutes before each scheduled talk, and the talk is scheduled to start at 9 a.m. Eastern, so it should start any minute. Is my guess. All right, so we can get rid of these ones, and we can theoretically get rid of the votes. But I think what I'll do here is right now is just say like let's say that we still keep this votes column, and so you're basically going to end up having something like post, update vote count or something like that. And this will probably be like a thing that you send out, right? Like a job that you queue or something like that. But again, we're not really sure, so let's just do post.php and give it a method. And basically, this votes equals this votes. I don't know if that's going to work because you've got a relationship with the same name. Yeah, so this is why I didn't start with this one. Public function votes return this has many votes. Yep. You have to have the votes model. Look at you. You don't have to create the things first. Laravel News is live for the first time. Laracon Theater on Periscope. Look at this. So modern. All right, this has many votes class. Let's just get rid of the votes column for now. And we can just use it actively. We can do something like I forget what the query builder count is, so if somebody knows this off the top of their head, they can let me know. And so then we end up basically giving ourselves an accessor. And so instead of votes, it would be votes count. Creating myself the stream of coffee. Yeah, see y'all later. I'm going to disappear as soon as the live stream comes up. So, all right. So, okay. So a post has to have a few things. Oops, not a post, a vote. It's got basically foreign keys to user ID and then a foreign key to post ID, right? Because that's really all a vote is. And there can only be one of them. So you can create like foreign key indexes, and you can create like a unique index that asserts that there's only one, a uniqueness that has the same user ID and post ID. But again, we have 7 minutes, so I'm not going to worry about that right now. Okay, so a vote is a connection. It's a pivot essentially, but it's like a first-class pivot between a user and a post. But we care about the timestamps. We probably don't care about the ID, but using Eloquent without IDs is not worth the pain. So don't even just do it. Okay, so we have the ability for someone to create a vote. In theory, oh look at this. I was doing app post first or create with that user ID. I want app post. We want app vote. This is what happens when I try and move too fast. So we're saying vote first or create where user ID equals that, and then we would also have to do where post ID equals post. And this, you see this starts getting janky, which is why you shouldn't do it this way. You really usually want to do it with relationships. But again, like let's just speed this through. Should it be named users votes as a pivot table? No, because pivot tables that are treated as pivot tables are fine, but actual tables, actual classes that because users votes would be a pivot between the users table and the votes table. So that's the thing, is the votes table itself is basically like taking what would be a pivot table that is users posts, but that wouldn't make sense because like, what does users post mean? Well, what is the interaction with the post, right? Like it's kind of hard to know what you're pivoting there and what connection you're having there. So really, there's multiple relationships eventually. We haven't created it yet. There's going to be multiple relationships between a user and a post. One of them is that they created it. One of them is that they voted for it. And so allowing a user to just create a vote and having a vote be a relationship between a user and a post, but it's a first-class relationship. That's the way that we're end up doing it here. So post votes, but again, post votes. So what's post votes? Post votes would be a link between the post table and the votes table, but we're talking about the votes table. So like, expand your ideas of what a pivot table can be, naming and kind of giving precedence and strength to what you might normally consider a pivot table is like an architectural decision, and it makes everything a lot clearer. It's now not this weird pivoty object that you have to like wrap your brain around. It's like, oh, it's a vote. Okay, cool. Yes, it may happen to be a little posty or a little pivoty, but in the end, it's just a vote. So, okay, cool. So when we create a vote, we say, give me the first vote where it's this user and it's this post. And if it doesn't exist, it'll create it. And so again, we're using first to create because it's just the easiest way to say if it doesn't exist, create it. And then we're doing this update vote count, which we're no longer caring about. And then here we're saying find where it's this user and this post and then delete it. Okay, cool. So in theory, that's enough. So interestingly, if you've never done this in Laravel, you can't just hit a delete route here. So you can either use JavaScript or you can use a form here and then submit that form with the input type equals blah, 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 blah. But again, we've got 4 minutes. So instead, we're just going to do a get on a delete route for now because we're out of time. So let's do this. I think the create route should be a post route. No, because we're hacking it together, and literally somebody's going to click a button. So, so, but yes, eventually this would be a post and this would be a delete. So yeah. Okay, so the interesting is it's no longer upvote and downvote. It's now upvote or delete your upvote. So it's kind of like vote and then like delete your vote. That's kind of what we have here. And then, of course, if that's the case, then it ends up being a conditional. And we don't have time to write that conditional. Let's just see if it works as it's written right now. I feel like there's going to be about 5,000 things that are broken. Base table not found, right? Because we need to. Oops. Users not found. Okay, something went wrong with my migration, so let's just manually wipe this. Like, unlike. Yeah, that's probably a good idea. Oh, you can't VSP in the terminal. Ah! Is anybody else seeing streaming yet? I'm not seeing the streaming working. All right. What's the error we're getting here? We're not getting anything. Did I break something in my base table of view not found in database connection? Run create callback, database connection, string timeline vendor, create builder. Yes, where's the actual file that we're working on? This is hard to find in this tiny little screen. Eloquent user provider. Oh, I know it is. I was wondering when somebody would show up to my live stream who's actually at the real conference. I know. It's just awful being me, being stuck at home because I'm going to have a baby. That's not awful at all. I'm so excited. Okay. Create a new post, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Vote it. Try to get property of non-object. Happy baby week. Thank you very much. So, yeah, well, I'm going to live stream, so I'm gone as soon as it's gone. All right, so we're on this one. It kind of makes me think that either auth user or post is going to be returning a null here. Post shouldn't be. Okay, so we have a post. We should have an auth user. Could just go read the stack trace. Okay, auth user is returning null. Auth login using ID 1. Is that not working? Oh, right. It's this stupid hacky auth using login using ID 1 because I just deleted my whole database and I didn't reseed my person. So I need to come up with a better way to do this when I'm hacking stuff around. Okay. All right. We would have known that if I had actually used the mass assignment exception on the user ID. Assuming that's on that first or create. All right. We have no time. We have no time. Let's just do our fillable here and just allow it. And we'll do redirects because later this won't matter because we'll be at, what's it called? All right, so it might work, but if it does work, then that count that we had set up is not working. So let's come over here. take a look at our votes table and see. Oh, we do have a vote. User ID 1, post ID 1. So my guess is that I never actually added the votes. Oh no, we do have vote. Okay. So let's try real quick here doing why it's not even getting called. Oh gosh, I forgot attribute. This is supposed to be an accessor, and you have to say get blank attribute in order for it to be an outgoing accessor. Oh, let's unvote, see if it works. Look at us. Must be a function called. No, see, it's supposed to be an accessor, not supposed to be a function. So, all right. So I can only vote up or vote down, but that's it. That works correctly. So apparently we're still not live streaming. So what the heck? Let's do this little conditional here. It says, all right, if, and basically we want this to be as if I have voted, you know, and how exactly we're going to do that is an interesting challenge. Gosh, this is so hard to read. Yeah, the delay is crazy. All right. So what does I have voted look like? It is if. So we actually haven't set the relationship on the user. Oh, you know what? I have to go because there's a phone call coming. So I will talk to you all later.